All right, so this is one case, that was really, 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 inspiring. The lady you see, his name is Rukayat, and we were called in on the 31st of December. It was a wash overnight, and she was run down by a truck. You can see the guy in Versace wear. His name is Precious. It was a good Samaritan who, rushed her to the hospital. Actually, when they found her on, the roadside, covered with you know, um, a table, basically, unused table. She was covered, and abandoned pretty much. Everybody didn't know she was dead until, somebody found her hands moving, like a sign of life. And then he moved the table to one side and was looking at, what that was. So when other passers by, so what are you looking at? So they stood and were looking at her with him, right? And it became a crowd over time. And she was still, moving her hands, waving signs of life. And that's when Precious came through, and we like to call him Ruka's wife, Ruka's husband, sorry. And that's because, he was the bold one there. I came in, I was like, what are you guys looking at? Why are you looking at this lady? You should be taking her to the hospital. Why are you just looking at? And everybody was still looking at him ranting and like, what's this one saying? Like, you know how the Nigerian thing is, where you find somebody who is, knocked down, or something happens in this person. Everybody's scared to take the person out to the police because of the police, reports that has to be made and all that kind of stuff. You don't know who this person is and all that. And then, but this young man was, very, very, let's just say God sent, was God sent pretty much to save this lady's life. And then he pushed everybody aside and was like, you know what, all of you just go, just get out of the way. And then he called a keke marwa, yeah, and single-handedly, of course, lifted her with a few people to help, of course, put her in keke marwa, and drove off. And they drove off to the hospital, the general hospital at Igando, where Rukaya was, taken to, basically, not admitted immediately, because of course everybody was going to ask, who is the person, where did you find her? Probably people think, you're the one that did the thing, maybe knocked her over while you're bringing her to the hospital, and that kind of stuff. There was a concern about that, and it was kind of, crazy. But then again, we had somebody in the hospital as at the time when she was brought in by Precious, who then, said, okay, you know what, I think I know some people that can help with this kinds of situation, and that's where Demicare came in. The call came through on that 31st night, and we all, went with the CEO. She amazing person, got up, and that night, middle of the night, early in the morning, and then I was called as well, and everybody, the whole team basically assembled there. By morning time, the whole was a complete, team, and everybody was there. What really happened, and we started looking at how to go and file a police report. Rukaya is a fighter, by the way, because she did not give up. I think she has two kids. Rukaya has two kids, and from different men, and nobody was, so she was really fending for herself and the kids when this happened. So it was a very pathetic situation, and I think she fought really hard for her kids to stay alive, and not die and leave them in this cold world. And we were there, got the police report they needed, and then the hospital started to treat her. As you can see in the video, this is her trying to recover. She was fighting. Rukaya was really, really fighting hard to stay alive. It was a battle. It's very, very strong young lady right here, guys. And we did all we could. Got the police report. Got her, her treatment started. I'll start explaining from this part of the video. Now watch. This was when she was brought in. You could see this was the morning. She had to tie her leg and hands because she was irrational because of the accident. When it happens, it makes you rational and kind of stuff. So this was us moving her from Igando after she was stabilized. I think some days later, we're moving her to Lasut, where she was going to get further treatment. So she was stabilized at Igando, and then we're taking her to Lasu, at Ikeja. And I think this is us in Ikeja, taking her there for, yeah, we got to Ikeja. They were doing scans on her, see if she has any broken things, and we found out her teeth were broken. This fighter, really really beautiful lady, like beautiful fighter there. This was us, examining her, for her surgery, because she was need to have a surgery done, to fix her jaw and all that was not in place. And this was her after the surgery. It was just an amazing story. So we felt like we should share this as one of our success stories. As an NGO, we're just thankful for being able to save this young lady's life, and this is kind of work we do here. So guys, like, subscribe, because we will have more stories like this, and we'll be looking forward to your support, from the community, basically, for you guys to support us, to keep this kinds of work going. This was after surgery. Yeah, that was after surgery. She was done with surgery there. So yeah, it was an amazing story. 31st night, crossover night. This young lady will have gone, but she fought really hard, really hard there, to stay alive for her kids and her family. Right now, Rukayat is one of the beneficiaries of pandemic care. She's been set up. She has a business of her own, taking care of her kids, pretty much living a normal life. And a big shout out to everyone from our Instagram community. You guys, they really came through when we needed them. Bella Shmorda, because it was a very widespread case at the time. We had so many celebrities asking what happened, trying to know what happened with the case, coming through with donations and all that kind of stuff. You guys, amazing family we have on Instagram. Say big thank you to you guys, and we're trying to build the same on YouTube. So we're inviting you guys to like this one. If you like the story, subscribe to the channel. If this is something this is the kind of cause that you're into, you would like to help a few more patients, you can head out to our Instagram page. That's a very main community for us, where we have a lot more people that do these kinds of work with us. We like to call them our angels, angel donors, who support us from time to time with donations, and try to help us get this humanitarian service that we are on to going. So this is the story of Rukayat, basically a very touching story right here, guys. So yeah, I think I'll wrap it up here. Okay, so thank you for watching this one. Just enjoy the rest of the video. See you guys around.